You know those little habits we all have? The ones we kind of see as flaws, things we wish we could just fix about ourselves. Well, what if they aren't flaws at all? Today, we're going to look at some of these so-called weird habits, but through the eyes of psychology.
All right, let's just jump right in with something I'm sure we've all done. Have you ever found yourself standing in the cereal aisle for what feels like an eternity, just trying to pick one? I mean, it should be simple, right? But it turns into this whole big decision.
And you're just stuck. It's like total decision paralysis. You're comparing nutrition labels, the price, maybe you're even thinking about which box is more recyclable. And you start to wonder, why is this so hard for me? Okay, but hang on a second. What if that struggle isn't you being indecisive? What if it's actually a clue about how your brain is wired? Yeah, a lot of the time, what feels like a personal flaw, it's actually a sign of a really active, complex mind. It means your brain is picking up on all sorts of details that other people might just gloss over. It's constantly processing, constantly making connections.
So, let's go back to that cereal aisle. This brings us to our first habit. Let's call it the overthinking brain.
So you've got two ways of looking at this. On one side, there's the confused view, right? That little voice in your head going, ugh, why can't I just pick one? But then there's the aware view. This is where you realize, oh, my brain isn't stuck. It's running all these advanced mental simulations. It's weighing every option and trying to predict the outcome.
So what's really going on in your head? Well, a little bit of neuroscience for you. It turns out that people who tend to overthink often have a superactive prefrontal cortex. That's basically your brain's command center for complex reasoning. So, see, it's not that you can't decide, it's that you're trying to process a ton of information to make the best possible decision.
So here's the big takeaway for this one. You're not indecisive, you're thorough. Your brain is literally built to analyze things deeply. And you know what? That's a superpower.
All right, so let's shift gears from decisions to our social lives. This brings us to our next habit, the social battery.
Does small talk just completely exhaust you? Like you're at a party and you just feel your energy draining away? And do you absolutely need that quiet, alone time to recharge and feel normal again?
And just like before, there are two ways to frame this. The confused voice says, what's wrong with me? Why am I so awkward or antisocial? But the aware view flips that completely. It realizes, hey, my brain isn't allergic to people, it's allergic to shallowness. It's just craving a real, meaningful conversation.
And check this out. There's actually some cool brain science behind this too. When you're alone, just letting your mind wander, you fire up what's called the default mode network. You can think of it as your brain's creative wandering mode. It's where you digest experiences, connect the dots. I mean, this is where all your best shower thoughts come from.
So the takeaway here is pretty amazing, right? You're not antisocial, you're just optimizing for depth. You're wired for connections that actually mean something.
Okay, last one. Let's talk about a habit that gets a really bad rap, being messy, or as we're going to call it, the creative mess.
You know the desk I'm talking about. To anyone else, it looks like total chaos. Books, papers, coffee mugs everywhere. But for the person who sits there, it's a system. They know exactly where everything is.
So again, the confused thought is, man, why am I so disorganized? But the aware perspective is so much better. It's, my brain is busy with big ideas right now. It's prioritizing creativity over tidiness. All that mental energy is going into the important stuff, not just putting things away.
And this isn't just an excuse either. It's actually backed by science. There was a study at the University of Minnesota that found that people in messy rooms literally generated more creative and innovative ideas. How cool is that?
So let's wrap this one up with a great takeaway. It's not chaos. It's a productive ecosystem for your thoughts.
So let's pull all of this together. What does it all mean? What happens when we stop judging these habits as flaws and start getting curious about how our minds actually work?
So just to recap, we've looked at how we can reframe these things. Overthinking becomes thorough analysis. Needing to be alone becomes deep processing. And that mess, that's creative prioritization.
See, the point of all this isn't to find more flaws to fix. It's about learning to understand how your mind works. It's like creating a user manual for your own brain.
Because once you have that awareness, everything changes. You can stop fighting yourself and start working with your brain. And that's when you can turn these things you thought were struggles into your greatest strengths.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. After all this, what's one quirk you have that you can maybe start to see a little differently now?